especially important for the freshers. So we are kind of going to discuss what freshers lacks, and
Yeah.
Mr. Rajesh Padul and Raju in that order, and then we can go ahead with the questions.
Learning. So it doesn't happen that you complete all your papers, you become a fellow, and your learning is done. So
Right.
when I think that we become a fellow and we have no background in working in industry,
Right.
there also we will find a lot of things that we don't know and we won't be able to work on it.
Yeah, I think Arpan, there are a lot of factors which we need to keep in mind, like think from the company's perspective as well. Like in consulting, I will say sometimes there are restrictions from the client side that they are, you have a project, particular project. The client is saying, okay, I need the person who is really
17, 1980s, those are not as simple as Python that you can very easily understand, and you can understand the background of it, especially in software like GGOX, which is a black box. You cannot see the coding inside. So yeah, so I think there is a learning curve. You need to return, we might get more, but we are kind of more focused on something. That's the unfortunate part. Not all of us. I am not generalizing. Not all of us is like that, obviously. But yeah,
So
some.
Arpan, actually, I think that businesses run under a lot of constraints.
Yeah, that's
So
true. That's true. Yeah,
businesses are sort of optimization problem where
right.
constraints are there and you have to optimize some output.
That's
So
obviously.
yeah, so lot of things are happening because of that possibly.
That is true. I mean, obviously those business flourishes where the employees are taken care of, right? I mean, that's why these surveys like best place to work, etc. Companies participate in that. Uh, for example, I think Google is doing pretty well in that area. So people just post on LinkedIn that there is word of mouth publicity. So you also know that the work that is coming from this, this company would be of better quality because people are not working under stress where they can make more errors. If you are putting workload of 10% on 5%, obviously there is more chance that the quality of work would not be that great. And so that is also there, which in turns impact the revenue of the company and everything else. So that is also there, but once again, fair point that everyone has their resources. You cannot, even if you want to, you cannot maybe spend 10 crore rupees when you have resource of 5 crore. So that's also a fair point. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. So do you think, what do you think a fresher maybe would start his or her career, whether that person should start from KPO, or maybe let's just club KPO and consultancy in same bracket. So would they start from KPO or consultancy, or would they start from core, and why? So maybe start with Rajesh.
Yeah, I think like the choice should depend upon like how are you viewing yourself in the long term. Like a lot of people coming into the industry, I've seen like why the focus is more on clearing the exam, and uh, why people are joining the consulting environment is because ultimate goal is to move to a different geography. If you're trying to move outside of India, like if you are not at least an associate or fellow, people are not, like companies are not that much willing to hire you.
Right.
The second thing is like if you're trying to move to a different geography, maybe UK, Canada or something, they would want someone who has, has worked on the Canadian or the US or UK market, as compared to someone who has worked on the Indian market. Though, like the person who has really worked in the core may have better understanding of the numbers or the reporting, but still on the CV it doesn't reflect that you have worked on the Canadian market or some overseas. So if they have something like that in mind, I think consulting or KPO give you a kind of exposure where you can easily move to a different geography. But like if you are, your sole focus is on seeing end-to-end processes, right from the pricing to the reporting, valuation, shareholder reporting, everything, I think then it's pretty good for you to move to the core industries, which we have like a couple of number of companies into the Indian markets.
Right. Right. So Raju, since you have worked on both core and KPO.
Yeah, so I have the experience of KPO and I have the experience of core. So see, as Rajesh also mentioned that if you want to be in the actuarial things altogether, so and you want to learn business, what is the actuarial contributions in business overall? So it's core industry gives you that kind of exposure.
Right.
However, KPOs also can give you that sort of exposure, because the KPO where I worked, I was a part of extended team of the US folks. So and I was a part of financial reporting. So it was as good as now today. Like everyone is working in remote conditions, right?
Right.
So
Right.
whether it is US or in India, your counterpart sitting in Mumbai or Delhi or somewhere. So it's as good as sitting in US as well. So the team has gone like this remote structure has reduced the weights in the team,
Right.
and geography is not like material here wherever you are sitting. So if you are getting a chance even in KPO, if you are getting a chance to be in the business completely merged into the business, so KPO can also provide you such kind of exposure. So but there are third type of companies like KPOs, not captive of the insurance company itself, like EXL services or WNS kind of. So
Yeah.
their tight SLAs are there. Based on SLAs, work is transferred to them, and they do those type of work only. So they do not have direct connect with the in, in like insurance companies folks. So they work in silos and they deliver whatever they have been asked to deliver. So the exposure in those kind of companies will be little different. The exposure in captive company will be little different, and exposure in core companies will be little different. So you have to choose, and one angle comes what Rajesh mentioned, that in which geography you want to be ultimately shift to. If your goal is to leave India and go to another geography, so possibly you would like to learn their regulation, their work. So everything matters. So it depends on your like what is your objective. But if you learn actuarial as a part of business and you want to learn the bigger business as a piece, then it's good to be in core and captive sort of companies. Or in KPOs, you get to know processes very well. Audit companies like EY, etc., EY, KPMG, they have a lot of audit work, so they have a very good knowledge of cash flows. So possibly even in core company, people may not have that kind of exposure.
Right. So, Parul, I will ask a similar question, but I mean, it will be slightly tougher for you. So do you think for core companies, if a person is working in core sector, uh, his or her technical knowledge will always be better than a person who is working in KPO?
Uh,
And yeah,
yeah.
I'll just give a background because initially there was a time when I was thinking of same under same lines because I was working in a process in a KPO when there was it was a process driven kind of role. There was A, then there B, then there C. So you first you enter some data in Excel, then you run something, then you run something else, and then you get the result and you summarize the result, present it in PPT, and work is done. And I've automated that entire thing. And I thought that yeah, that improved my coding skills, but that has not improved my actual skills. My actual brain is still hungry. So that those kind of work are prevalent, and I think all of us in our interviews we have seen people who are very process oriented. They don't know what is the bigger picture, like Raju mentioned. The bigger picture is completely invisible to them. So do you think in core people are more technically better or sound as compared to in KPU?
Uh, no, I don't believe so that it's a generalized thing. It depends upon everybody's learning capability and how much they want to actually learn.
Right.
Because even if they are working in core and they're doing a certain process, they will definitely have a better idea from end to end process that they have, but they might not have that technical knowledge that why we are doing a particular thing. So
Right.
that still be lacking. And on the other hand, if a person who is working on a KPO, he might not have that end-to-end knowledge that apart from, say, for example, they are working in valuation, they
Right.
might have the great and a sound knowledge of valuation process and all the technical concepts linked behind that, but they might not have the knowledge on other areas, for example, the ALM side, the pricing side. So that we still can't generalize that the people working in core will have a better technical knowledge.
Right, and I think just on a personal point of view, I think I completely agree with the statement because I have made a switch to core thinking that that would happen. My technical knowledge will drastically increase, and it did. I mean, technical knowledge did increase, but I mean, it was not because I moved into core sector. It was because I was sincere and I tried to learn as much thing as possible, and I tried to volunteer wherever I can so that I can build a technical skill. And yeah, and same things happen in core KPO sector as well, especially if you are in the top performers in the KPO sector. So if in a department there are 20-30 people, and if you are the top performer, you will always get the better quality job. So it is your kind of responsibility to be sincere enough and to, as Raju mentioned, learning is for life. So if you are of that mentality, you will get good work everywhere, and you will. I mean, even if rest of the 10 works are, say 9 works are worse, you will end up getting that one work which will be high quality. So that's what I strongly believe in, and that's what I've seen. Okay, so we are
And
done. Yeah, sorry, Raju. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, just wanted to add, like, Arpan,
Yeah,
learning is all self-learning only.
right,
So
right, right.
learning can't be enforced from outside. It comes from inside.
Yeah,
So
very,
any
very,
person who is very eager to learn, so he will find the sources to learn. So
right. I
even
got the
if in,
thumbnail for this video, Raju. I got the thumbnail. I am going to use this as my thumbnail. Learning is for like internal, right? Internal learning is always internal.
yeah, so even in core, you will find the person is working for long in one area. He has not learned other areas. So
Right.
he will not get the big picture of the business. So it is core or KPO or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh, it all depends on person as well.
true. Exactly. So we are down to our last question. In fact, last question is a combination of two questions. So just your views on the current job scenario for freshers, and what can they do to stand apart from the crowd? Because there are too many freshers, like supply is more than demand. So what they can do to stand apart from the crowd, and what is in your view is the current job scenario in 2022, and how do you see it maybe proceed in future? So we'll start with Rajesh.
I think like if we take the industry as a whole of actuarial in India, it's booming. But still, we can see, like, if you go on the LinkedIn or the consulting, the job consulting, the more opening is towards the people who are in the bracket of 2 to 10,
Mm-hmm.
and less on the fresher side. So I think it hasn't changed a lot as compared to the 4 5 years ago from now. But still, it is very much better as compared to when in, say, in 2015 2016. I have seen freshers who have multiple offers in their hand. They are negotiating for the salary, like which company should I join, or they are trying to make the choices like, okay, this is better or not. So that is the scenario. But what they can do to stand apart from the crowd is, I think, like as we mentioned during this all our session, that you have the knowledge of your exams, but if you are not very conceptually clear about that particular knowledge, I think in a lot of interview, if the interviewer is good, he'll be looking at, like, if you whatever you have read, can you apply at least, say, 50 60% of that knowledge into the work. So I think having the clarity upon, say, even if you have like 4 5 exam and the person has 6 7 8 exam, but if you're very much clear on those 4 5 exams, I think then you can pretty much stand out during the interviews.
Right, right, right. I mean, one of the question that and please nobody give the answer to this question, but one of the our favorite interview question in Sun Life is annuity a life product? And I can tell you 99.99% people give wrong answer to this. So yeah, so you may have studied CT5 or whatever it is called CM1, but whether annuity is a live product or not, that is not clear. So somewhere you are clearing the exam, you are scoring marks, you are posting in LinkedIn that I am thrilled to announce that I have got this mark and all those things, but you don't know whether annuity is a live product. So I mean, there is a problem. I think that was what Rajesh was probably alluding to, that if you are scoring 90, it should mean that 90% of the concept of the paper is retained by you. And it is not just that you have, because you've memorized some of the concepts and you have kind of, vomited those concepts in your exam, and that's why you have cleared the paper. So that's not how you are going to stand out from the crowd. Yeah, Raju.
Yeah, so I think as Rajesh mentioned that industry is quite like open for freshers, and a lot of opportunities are there in the arena.
Mm,
So and wherever I have worked, so I have seen that a lot of freshers are being hired. So companies are looking for freshers to hire.
mm,
What companies look at, like how many papers they have cleared.
mm,
Freshers, they expect that few papers should have been cleared. and also like the person should have some technical ability that comes to an advantage, that
Mhm.
if he or she is aware of some programming language in the
Mhm.
past, so that goes to his or her advantage. So these are the things that will help you in landing up in a job.
Mhm.
But certainly success in a job and being a good actuary ultimately, that is a different ball game.
Right.
So landing up in a job is possibly the easier way, easier task,
Mhm.
but being a successful actuary, being a good actuary is a long journey. You will have to be persistent, you will have to be continuously learning everything. So those attitudes are actually will make you stand apart.
Right. Right. Parul, your comments.
I feel that uh, currently in Indian scenario, a lot of companies are hiring freshers, especially as an intern. So
Mhm.
nowadays, a lot of chunk of like I would say the demand supply. You talked about the difference between that.
Mhm.
It's reducing significantly.
Right.
It's the major issue is still there in the market that companies are not able to find good resources
Right.
still because of the issue that we discussed about that people are
Mhm.
more inclined towards exams,
Mhm.
and that's the main reason. And if freshers want to stand apart from the crowd, I think as Raju mentioned, technical skill is definitely something that is required. But
Right.
apart from that, I think more than software knowledge, it's their intent to learn. So even
Mhm.
if during interviews they are able to show that they are not aware about that concept, but they
Mhm.
can show their thinking process behind that
Right.
concept. Even then, if their answer is wrong, they are not able to get to the correct lines,
Mhm.
still that is something that would definitely make them stand apart.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I can speak on my behalf that whenever I am taking an interview, I am not looking for the correct answer. I am just looking for the thought process. And if a person has a logical thought process, and even if he or she is wrong, once given some hint, that person will be able to track back to the right answer or may approach to a certain direction. So I think that is very important because in actually we will face problems which are new and which we have not solved in the past. So it is our like it's our ability to kind of think in a different way as compared to the past that will give us that edge. So I think yeah, that's I mean probably attitude matters more than probably the papers maybe. Yeah, so one bonus question, although I mentioned that was kind of the last question. So do you think there is something called overqualified actually for freshers, like people who have maybe cleared 10 papers, 12 papers are still fresher? Do you think that is overqualified and there is a certain number of papers they would stop at and then wait for jobs before clearing papers? So maybe start with Parul once again.
I don't know if I would call it as overqualified actually or not, but it definitely has a disadvantage because whatever you are learning, you are not able to think from that perspective. The if we say if compared to freshers, one who has 4 papers and one who has 10 papers, and then they start working, the one who will be working and then study those papers, he will have a better idea of what he is studying, he
Mhm.
or she is studying. So that is definitely a disadvantage, but I won't say an overqualified actually because if they are able to show what they have studied,
Mhm.
then even then they should be in line in par with the others who don't have that many exams.
True. Rajesh?
Think I totally agree with what Parul has said. Like, if a person who has, started job with four of the exams and now into the system, being able to see the cash flow is better able to connect what he or she is actually studying into those actual exams. But
Mhm.
I had also, when I was as a fresher, I had also heard this term of being overqualified. Like, if you have 6 or 7 exam, few of the companies won't hire you, or like there were few companies, but
Mhm.
with the time, I think this has gone away. Like, I have seen fresher coming up with, say, who have MSc degree in actuarial from here at Watt, or a few of the universities have cleared 10 exams. Now,
Mhm.
certainly they are at the disadvantage in monetary terms, also, in terms of being able to connect the knowledge with that. But I don't think companies are reluctant to hire someone who has, say, exam, who have already completed their CT series or have 10 plus exams. So the fear which was there in the freshers like few years ago, I don't think it's the case now with most of the companies.
So Raju, final comments
Yeah.
from your side?
Yeah, so Arpan, actually, I also heard of this overqualification thing in my
Mm-hmm.
career journey. So it is sad. So I don't believe this should be,
Right.
but it is there, and it is sad for the industry, actually, in my
Mm.
opinion. So if a fresher has cleared, suppose, 10 papers or 12 papers, or
Right.
even he or she has become a fellow, uh,
Mm.
he or she is ready to be in the industry and start learning. So
Right.
why should he or she be given a chance? So,
Exactly.
but there are some internal dynamics inside the company, and we actuaries only are responsible for that.
True.
That we do not bring that person in the company.
Right.
We clearly like advertise that fresher with 1 to 4 papers cleared. So
Mm.
why shouldn't 5 papers be cleared and he or she should get a chance to work in the company?
Mm.
So that is one. Another, like, we fear, like, we actuaries in the company fear that a person, if he or she is a fellow and
Mm.
joins a company as a fresher, so possibly he would not like to work. He
Mm.
would like some managerial position, and he won't work in the company.
Or may leave
And
quickly, or may leave quickly, or may switch job quickly
correct,
after.
he will switch job, he will be misfit.
Mm.
uh, there is some problem with the freshers as well. Like, if they have cleared more papers, they possibly think that I'm more eligible. So
Mm.
as I said, the clearing papers is just a baseline from where
Right.
you have to start learning. So
Yeah.
if you are coming with the attitude that no, you have more papers and you have learned everything, so that is also wrong from his our part.
Mm.
So these dynamics actually impacting this overqualification concept. This is sad for the industry. I think if I foresee the things, then there will be again, like, today in engineering sector, if you see engineering industry, a
Mm.
person who is not a BTech
Mm.
will not enter into the industry.
Mm.
He or she will not get a job possibly.
Mm.
So similar for actuary will happen someday.
Mm.
This is a niche field, and possibly there is a lot of demand supply gap. So I foresee that there will be a day when only fellow actuary will be admitted to the industry, and they will be starting career learning in the company. So
Mm.
they will be introduced as a fresher,
Mm.
fellow introduced as a fresher in the company,
Right.
and they will start learning from there. So it is sad, but it is true. I see that.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, I think we really have a very quality discussion today. And I want to thank all of you to take out time in weekend and kind of discuss this with me free of cost. I because just because of my friendship, and yeah, I'm really grateful. And I think all of you kind of spoke your heart out. There was no diplomacy from your side, so that is something that I really appreciate. Personally, I'm very non-diplomatic person. I think Raju is aware of those qualities.
Yeah, I know you are from since long, so and be
Yeah,
like that. So you are
yeah,
unique.
I know. Someone, once there was a communication class in AXA when I was part of AXA business, and there were like everyone was kind of the trainer asked like, "What is your expectation from this class?" So people are saying that I just wanted to speak something in roundabout manner so that no one is offended by what I said. Like this was the kind of the general theme of the people who are kind of responding. So maybe first to bench passed, and then it was my turn. So I told her that I am very honest, and I want to be even more honest. So I don't want to be diplomatic. And everyone laughed at me at that point of time. But then couple of years down the line, when I was in Gurgaon, actually I was outside, so a person came up to me and told me, you are Arpan, right?" Yeah, my name is Arpan. So you remember that you gave that answer? Everyone is saying that I want to be diplomatic, I want to learn diplomacy. You told like, I am honest, and I want to be even more honest. It was a communication class, basically how to communicate. So I really, yeah, I told her that that I think I did pretty well there because that was my communication. You still remember me, although I don't, I don't remember you. So I think honesty does have a edge over communication. Concentrate on papers, but that is just the baseline. That is just the foundation, and you need to improve your technical skill by working on job so that you can reach that level. You can finally reach that 1 crore package if you are inclined to. And obviously for the industry, although this discussion was more from a fresher point of view, but for the industry, I think if they are watching the videos, someone who is experienced, probably they would have some pointers. And you don't have to agree with one of us. I think that's fair enough. But you can just, if you just start thinking about the alternative, like I don't want to train people in profit. From that point, what if I train people in profit? What if I do that? So I think that thinking is, I mean, if you are just thinking on that line, then the objective of this video is achieved. So please like, share, and subscribe if you are watching this video. And if you have watched up to this point, I believe that you are serious about actually you want to do good in actually. So please like, hit the bell icon, share with all your friends, and yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in future videos.